Hey everyone, with a GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Blood Bowl, the 2024 Almanac coming out in 2025, but rehashing all of the year's releases of cool rules, wacky models, and man, what a year for Tier 2 and Tier 3 teams in Blood Bowl. If you're not familiar with these, this is the new format basically. Spike Magazine, which is kind of the team-by-team releases they're doing. They'll do a plastic box set with a new team in it to the supporting team members, like if there's a big guy or positionals or some kind of like star player. And they do like a soft cover leaflet for that team when it launches. They also still do the team rosters typically in the actual box in the building instructions, which is like a nice like sort of like side thing. If you don't have the books, you can just play right out of the box. And then they sum it all up at the end of the year in this big book, which I think is a great format and honestly kind of perfect for Blood Bowl. You just carry the team info that you want. You have it available a bunch of different ways. You don't need to have this, but if you miss something throughout the year, or you're just a completionist, you want to have all the team rules even though you don't play that team because you want to convert them or use other models, then you grab this book at the end of the year. All kinds of fun stuff in here. So we've got the Gnome team, we've got the Chaos Dwarf team, which is the two big ones in here, and then we got new rules for a bunch of classic star players like Jordell Freshbreeze, Maple Highgrove, Swift-Vine Glimmer Shard, Jeremiah Cool, Kiroth Krakeneye, Anky Panky, Skitter Stab Stab, and Guffle Pussmaw. And then some color stuff in here too. And also the Vampire team. So there's three teams represented in here. The Vamps, which I think honestly, except for even including the Gnomes, I think Mike, who's my constant Blood Bowl opponent, he's painted all of these this year, which is insane. So the redo of the Vampires, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these because I did them all individually. We've got a new Luthor von Drakenborg. I love his like specs. I don't know. The art team and design team for Blood Bowl has gotten the assignment more than I think any Games Workshop design team has, because it's just the right like mix of old kind of black and white line style art and like punk and humor and zine sort of like illustration. Like we've got all this stuff like the halfling commentator with her feet up there. Oh yeah, Captain Karina von Reese. Another star player here, the Scourge of Sartosa. There was a vampire pirate army briefly in 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle that had a giant cannon. And then the Vampire Noble Leagues. Special rules for playing the actual league of just them as the vampires all fight each other. I love their board too, because it's like the interior of Castlevania basically. Some tips for playing them. Ivan the Animal Death Shroud with the whites, and more stuff for the vampire teams in here, which is just like the actual update for Dungeon Bowl, for playing them in Dungeon Bowl as well. Which I thought was a note that they threw them into Dungeon Bowl and gave some new team rules for them. Comics all reprinted from the zine, and God, these models are nice. Look at how cool they are. Especially that Vargolf just makes even a cool hero miniature for Age of Sigmar. And then the Gnomes. This was kind of an out of left field army, making this Gnome army. It's adorable. It has a goose, which is maybe the coolest miniature that Workshop made this past year. It's got special characters, riding stags. It's got hilarious, like star characters like Rodney Roachbait. they're basically good guy snotlings. If you haven't actually seen them, the miniatures are completely adorable, and they're a tier 3 team. They're a meme team basically, a for funsies team, but there's nothing wrong with that. A League of Their Gnome. Oh my God, it's also the most pun heavy release I think of all of these things. And they get treatment as their big guy. A gorgeous little pitch as well. And then they redid Acorn the Squirrel. This was the squirrel miniature that's on the Tree Man. Got his own stat line for a while. He's a Chaos team. He's got blood rage. When I said like the humor and punk rockness was in here, this is an example of that. The furry avatar of rage. I'm so glad they reprinted Acorn. He's 3 years old, 2500 through 2502. And he's 80,000 to recruit as a star player. Claws, Dauntless, Dodge, Frenzy, Jump Up, Loner, No Hand, Sidestep, Stunty, and Twitchy. Plays for any team and has Blind Rage. Acorn may choose to reroll the D6 when rolling for Dauntless, even though he's only Strength 1, because he'll fight anybody. He's the honey badger, basically, of Blood Bowl. He does not care. And then a Dungeon Bowl update for the Gnome team as well, so you can play them in Dungeon Bowl. Again, fantastic little update to have them. And God, look at these miniatures. Look at that goose. And there he is in his proper colors. One of my favorite things of the last time I was in Nottingham in the UK was watching 4 Canada geese just whip ass on a swan. The swan had no idea what to do. I think the Canada geese have been like stowing away on container ships and coming across and just invading England, and watching them just completely destroy a goose who had no idea what to do with these stupid hissing cobra turkeys. Yeah, that was the most patriotic I felt in a long time, as these Canada geese basically invaded England. Yeah, and then the Chaos Dwarfs. You just saw us play a game with these guys. What great miniatures. Mike did a fantastic job painting them up in comic book style. But the Ziggurats are back with Zargub Marai, and this big blunderbuss. Again, lots of cool art. The Wasteland Leagues. And then at the end here, we've got our bonus time stuff, which is the new star players. Like Jordell, a Maple High Grove, young and sappy, a young Dryad. Jordell's back with his like Vega Claw. Come on, man, don't know Vega Claw. And we've got Swift-Vine, Glimmershard, a Spite. And Jeremiah Cool, the Flashing Blade. I think he's supposed to be a Dark Elf. Yeah, he's from the Dark Side Cowboys, that's right. And Kiroth Krakeneye. This is very much the Pirate Captain miniature, but playing Blood Bowl from the old Dark Elves. And then Anky Panky, a safe pair of hands. A Temple Guard with an agility of 5+. I don't know how you'd call him a safe pair of hands. And Skitter Stab Stab, the new Assassin. So some stuff for the other teams as well. Guffle Plus Maw, star player for the Nurgle's Rotters. And there he is. Oh, the Lord himself in the Chaos Cup. So rules for playing the Chaos Cup and some rules of honor for the tournament. And then some staff studio showcase. I do really appreciate them putting in staff teams because, look, we see the names of the staff and they get some credit for this awesome job they're doing. Jay Clare, Tom Moore, Xavier Millard, Will Hayes, Kieran Milne, and Rob McLeod's teams are all in here. Lovely paint jobs, all the new minis. And that's it. There's all those cool new star players. And another almanac on the books for 2024. I gotta say, Blood Bowl this year was some of the most surprisingly fun releases I think Workshop did. And I hope they stay in this vein, because having something that still has kind of the old school Games Workshop spirit of fun and silliness and like a self-awareness that the whole thing is ridiculous, combined with a really good game, because I'll be honest, Blood Bowl is maybe still the best competitive game Games Workshop makes. They've had to inject a bit of randomness to it to make it a little less technically clean, which was maybe a bit controversial with the Blood Bowl community. But if you want to see some of the best run, best organized, and largest Games Workshop game tournaments of all time, check out the championships in Europe for Blood Bowl. Just the photos are mind-boggling at the amount of people actually playing this game. And another great year of releases for it. Just miniature-wise are fantastic. And yeah, I think a great example of how a long-running game, this game's almost 40 years old, can stay fresh through people who really get the ethos of the game and the style of the game, continuing to make models for it and support it. So there it is, the Spike Annual. If you missed all of the individual Spike magazine issues, then here it is, bundled together for you for the year, with some additional content with the star players and stuff too. Big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews. Till then, I'm Ash. Apple Gaming.